Hi, and welcome back to A Well of Inspiration. My name is Erica, and today we're going to be talking about how to actually move to a new country. Thank you for joining me. I know I promised a video ago that I would upload a series about talking about how to move to a different country, and finally I'm doing another one. Yay! Sorry it's taken me a while. Life is busy, but I really wanted to get this series done for you, and some of you have been asking for it. So here we go. I have my notebook again, as always, and if I'm looking down, that's where I'm looking for my notes. But today we're going to talk about how to actually move to the country that you're going to be living in or moving to. In the video previously, I talked about planning your move and all the things that you need to keep in mind when wanting to move and the research that you have to do. But today we're going to talk about actually what the steps are that you need to take to actually move. So yay, I'm excited. Let's get into it. So the first thing to keep in mind is packing. Now, it really depends on how long you're planning to move for. Like if you're planning to move, for 6 months to a year, is very different than if you're planning to move for, say, 2 years like I did, or when I was moving, I actually didn't know if I'd only stay 2 years, if I'd want to stay longer. So packing was kind of a huge, not ordeal per se, but like I had to put a lot of thought into it. And my biggest advice is don't pack a lot of stuff, because you're going to end up buying stuff eventually. So there's no point in packing or overpacking and paying that extra for your luggage when you're going to be buying new things anyways. For example, for me, I was moving in September to the UK, and I didn't bring a huge winter jacket because I was like, it's not going to fit. I'm not going to be wearing it on the plane, in September when it was still hot in Canada. So I was like, whatever, I'm just going to buy one there. So, think about all your favorite things that you own. Bring those. Kind of prioritize, what's the weather like there? Is it always hot? Is it always cold? Are there 4 seasons? Try to plan for that too. And really just take all your favorite things and everything that you hold dear, and then everything else, you can buy later. Say even if you forgot to pack underwear, you can buy that when you're there. And that's kind of my rule when traveling a lot of the times too, is if you're panicking that you forgot something, other than, like your really important things like your passport, your phone, camera, like expensive things or like irreplaceable things, obviously those things you want to take with you. But things like a toothbrush or a toothpaste or, I don't know, shampoo, towel, underwear, socks, those things, if you forgot them, it sucks to have to buy them, but you can. But if you're moving to somewhere else for a longer period of time, honestly, it's better to just save a little bit more money with that in mind. So one of the hardest things is figuring out where to live. And this, again, going back to the planning video, requires a lot of research. So really make sure that you know the area that you're moving to. I didn't. Like, I was researching places that were way above my pay or my budget when moving there, but I was like, oh, these look nice online, and then my friend who was living there was like, you're crazy, like we're never going to be able to afford it. So if you have friends there, ask them, relatives, ask them, go online. I'm sure there's reviews, and then there's so many, like Rightmove is a website in the UK where you can kind of search, and most of the time it's cool to go and rent a place. A lot of the times it's cool to go rent a place with other people in the same house. That way you can make some friends. But yeah, do your research. And then when you get there, and I'm going to get into this in a second when we're talking about setting up a bank account and getting a job. These 3 things, like where to live, getting a job, and setting up your bank account, kind of like relate to one another. And a lot of the times you can't do one fully without having the other things. So really make sure what your priorities are. Like setting up a bank account, you can't do with an address. So you need to have an address in order to, put your money into the bank. What I did is I used my friend's address, and because that wasn't good enough, I only got a temporary bank card. And which is fine, because after a certain time, once you have your own address, then you can set up a full bank account. But I kind of segued into banking there for a sec, but it's true. So find a place to live. You know, if you need to live in a hotel room for a couple of weeks or a couple of days or however long it takes you to find a place, that's okay. Just make sure you put that in your budget when you're planning to move. And then that way you can go and see places. You can, there's a lot of letting agencies all over the place. In the UK, there was a bunch because most people there rent. So those are kind of the things to keep in mind. And then once you find a place, then it's a great idea for your next step to go and set up a bank account. So as I said, setting up a bank account sounds easy, but it's not easy if you don't have a full permanent address. And I didn't. So like I said, I set up a temporary bank account that only allows you to take out a certain amount of money, but I'm pretty sure you can put in as much as you want, obviously. So yeah, so that was kind of, I remember that was kind of a deal for me. And then the other thing for a bank is you need a job. You need to say what your job title is and the address of the place. So because when I moved, I didn't have a job. I didn't put anything. And again, that caused me to have to get a temporary card. Whereas one of my friends, she told me that she put down the address of where she was working from Canada, from where she moved, just to have something there. And then she was able to get a permanent card. So, I mean, really gauge. So that brings us to our next step, finding a job. Finding a job in the UK is fairly easy if you're okay with temping it for a while. I'm not very sure about other countries, and that's why, again, going back to my planning video, really do your research, because in the UK, for example, there's so many temp agencies and so many recruitment companies there because it is a very transient place. Mostly London is very transient. So a lot of people come and go. So a lot of people just go, work there for a couple of years, leave, move on, whatever. So when I went there, my work journey was weird. Like I was looking for a job for the Olympics and I couldn't find anything. And then I happened to become in contact with one of my good friends who was living in there, his boyfriend's colleague, who was working at the Natural History Museum, and she introduced me to their temping agency. So then I signed up with them. They got me a job at the Natural History Museum, which was ridiculous. I was just one of those people who stands there and tells people not to run for a week. And then after that, the temp agency had my name. They knew I wanted to be an events coordinator and do marketing. So then they found me different temporary jobs within the same company. And that was really helpful. I hated it at first because I was I want a full-time job, I felt not good enough being a temp. But then if I think about it now and I realized later on, temping is awesome because you can get a 2-week contract, you can get a 2-month contract, you can get a 4-month contract, 6-month contract, whatever. And then in between the contracts, it sucks because you're not making money. But if you're there kind of like I was to experience, I was 25 years old, I wanted to live my life, explore, travel, whatever, it was perfect because during that time in between, I could go and travel, come back, phone up the agency and be I'm back, do you have a job for me? And within days, they were yeah, we have something else for you. And then I would work for 4 months. And it was cool because, again, I got a lot of different experience. And yeah, they say, having a lot of different things on your resume isn't always the best thing. But sometimes when you're younger, it is because it shows, well, look, I am successful with working with different people. I'm successful in working in different departments. And for me, I was doing the same job, but in different departments. So it's I can do the thing that I do best with different people, different departments. So yeah, that's really helpful. But I mean, every country is different. So again, research. And if you know someone who can get you a job, even better. I mean, networking and having personal connections is probably the best way to do it. So yeah. So the last, and for me, the biggest thing was making friends. How do you make a friend when you're in a completely foreign place, in a completely foreign country? I mean, thankfully, I moved to a country that spoke the same language as me. But say if I was moving to Germany, I was moving to France, or I was moving to A lot of my friends from Canada were moving to like Japan or China to teach English, and you know, they were surrounded by like foreign languages everywhere. So like, how do you make friends? And honestly, it's not easy. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it at all. It's not easy. I, again, was very lucky because I had a friend who was there who already had friends, and then I kind of mooched off her for a while. And then once you start working, you start to make your own friends. You know, once you start going out, you start going to different clubs and sports, and really getting involved in the community is important. I mentioned earlier, if you want, you can rent a house with several roommates, and that way, that really helps. You know, you can become friends with them or mooch off their friends, or like go hang out with them, and through them meet other people. It's really just like, this sounds really bad, but like kind of cling on to somebody and see who you will meet through them. And in places like London, because it's such a transient city, people are actually looking to find friends. Like, they want to meet new people and they want to hang out. So they're very open. So going up to, you know, people or just like naturally letting it happen is a great way to make friends, because like I said, people are there, and there's a lot of young people in bigger cities like London who are searching for friends just like you are. So don't be afraid. So yeah, that's the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed it. So really, you know, after your planning is done and you are in the city or country that you are moving to, there's just a few things to keep in mind. Make sure that you don't overpack. Make sure that you find yourself a job in order to get a bank account. And in order to do those things, you need to find yourself a place to live. So those are probably the 3 most important things that you need when you're there. And then the friends will just come naturally. You really just have to, you know, come out of your bubble. I remember when I moved, I was petrified to leave my place for like a few months because, one, I had a very different accent than the people in London and the UK. So people knew right away that I was foreign, and I was just so worried because they always, you know, said like, oh, why are you here? Or, oh my gosh, or where are you from? And it would just like, it'd be weird for me because I wasn't used to it, right? But it really brings you out of your shell. Like, once you've become comfortable with yourself and with being in the place that you're in, you will come out of your shell, and it's going to be such a great experience for you. And which leads me on to our next video. Please stay tuned for that, because I'm going to be talking about how to make the best of your experience once you've moved to the country. So all your research is done, you have your visa, you have your passport, you're ready to go. You know, you've planned, you've done your research, you've packed your bags, you've got yourself a job, you've got yourself a place to live, you set up your bank account, you're making money, you're making friends. How do you make the best of your experience? And how do you grow? Like, how do you make this into the positive experience that you wanted it to be before you moved? So please stay tuned for that. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me and for watching this video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos, I promise they will come more frequently than before. I have a few more planned. And yeah, if you want to see those, please subscribe. They'll come out, put the notification bell on because it'll tell you. I'm sorry, but I wish you could see this. My doggy's licking my toes and it's tickling. Anyways, just for that, if you want to see my dog, subscribe, hit the subscribe button. And in the comments below, let me know, have you moved? Are you planning on moving? If you have, where have you moved to? What have been your struggles? What have been your positive experience? Let's start the conversation because I'm very curious to hear your stories. Thanks again, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!